Hello there! Welcome to today's class. Today, we'll be learning about active and passive verbs. And by the end of the class, you should be able to 1. Make sentences with active and passive verbs. 2. Read the given passage. 3. Identify active and passive verbs. Kids, can you recall our JSS 2 lesson on active and passive voice? Let's refresh our memory by quickly recapping what active and passive voices are. Remember, we learned that there are two types of grammatical voices in the English language, which arose from two different verb types. These voices include 1. Active voice, which is when the verb in a sentence is active and shows that the subject of the sentence, which could be someone or something, has performed an action. For example, in this active voice sentence, Ngozi ate her food, you can see that the subject of the sentence, which is Ngozi, comes before the verb ate in the sentence. Therefore, it can be said that the subject of the sentence performed an action. 2. Passive voice. Unlike the active voice, it is when the verb in a sentence is passive and shows that the subject of the sentence, which could be someone or something, did not actively perform an action, but instead had an action performed to it. For example, in this passive sentence, the food was eaten by Ngozi. You can see that the subject of the sentence, Ngozi, comes after the verb eaten. Therefore, it can be said that the subject of the sentence is having the action done to it. Can you think of some other examples of active and passive voice in use? For example, if I say, Ayo wrote this book, what voice do you think that statement is in? Did you say active voice? That's correct! That statement is in the active voice because it uses a verb wrote, which is an active verb because it comes after the subject of the sentence, Ayo. Now, let's look at two short passages about the Kanji Dam and see if we can pick out which one is read with active voice or in passive voice. Passage A. Kanji Dam is the major source of generating hydroelectric power in Nigeria. The dam is constructed across the river Niger in Niger State of central Nigeria. The dam was constructed by an Italian company called Impregilo, and its construction started in 1964 and was completed in 1968. The dam generates electricity for all large cities in Nigeria, with some of the electricity also being sold to neighboring country Niger. Passage B. The main source of hydroelectric power in Nigeria is in the Kanji Dam. The construction of the dam was done across the river Niger in Niger State of central Nigeria. An Italian company called Impregilo constructed the dam, and its construction started in 1964 and was completed in 1968. Electricity for all the large cities in Nigeria is generated by the dam, with some of the electricity also being sold to neighboring country of Niger. Kids, from both passages, can you tell which of the passage uses the active voice and which one uses the passive voice? Remember, the active voice always places the subject of a sentence before the verb of the sentence, while the passive voice always places the subject of the sentence after the verb of the sentence. Let's pick out the first sentence from both passages A and B and see if we can apply that rule to know our answer. The first sentence of passage A reads, "The major source of generating hydroelectric power in Nigeria is the Kanji Dam." We can see that the subject of the sentence, Kanji Dam, comes before the sentence's verb, which is generating. Therefore, we can say that passage A is in the active voice and uses active verbs. You would also notice that all sentences in passage A are written like this, with the subject of the sentence always coming before the verb of the sentence. On the other hand, let's look at passage B. The first sentence of passage B reads, Kanji Dam is the major source of generating hydroelectric power in Nigeria. We can see that the subject of the sentence, Kanji Dam, comes after the sentence verb, which is generating. Therefore, we can say passage B is in the passive voice and uses passive verbs. You would also notice that all sentences in passage B are written like this, with the subject of the sentence always coming after the verb of the sentence. Kids, isn't it easy? I bet you can write in both passive and active voice. Just remember the basic rule. Active voice always places the subject of a sentence before the verb of the sentence, while passive voice always places the subject of the sentence after the verb of the sentence. Kids, with that we've come to the end of our lesson on active and passive voice or verbs, where you learned all about active and passive verbs or voice, and how to recognize and use them. See you in the next lesson. Bye!